I didn't know I was being evaluated. I thought we were just having a conversation. We were sitting at a long table in a quiet office I'd been to before. No uniforms, no medical signs, just neutral walls and polite smiles. A folder lay open in front of us, my name typed neatly on the first page. "I'd like to clarify something," I said, leaning forward. My son didn't look at me. He looked at the woman across the table. "She struggles with details," he said calmly. "She gets confused when things are explained too fast." The woman nodded and started writing. That's when I understood the truth. I hadn't been invited to speak. I had been invited to be assessed. And the most terrifying part was how gentle it all felt. No one raised a voice. No one called me crazy. No one even looked at me with anger. They looked at me the way you look at a person you've already decided not to believe. The woman smiled again. "Mrs. Cruz, we're just going to ask a few questions," she said, as if she were offering tea. I looked at my son. "Why is she writing?" I asked. He finally turned his eyes toward me, and they were soft in a way that made my stomach drop. "Because she needs to take notes, Mom," he said. "It's normal." Normal. That word is a door. It opens quietly, it closes quietly, and by the time you notice the click, you're on the wrong side. I set my hands flat on the table. "What is this meeting?" I asked. The woman's pen paused, then resumed. "We're here to talk about support," she said, "just to understand what you need." I felt something cold move under my skin. "I didn't ask for support," I said. My son's chair creaked as he leaned forward. "I did," he said, "because I'm worried." He said it like a confession, like it was brave. But there are worries that protect you and worries that replace you. I took a slow breath. "Worried about what?" I asked. My son didn't answer me, he answered her. "She misplaces things," he said, voice steady. "She forgets appointments, and she gets emotional when there's paperwork." The woman nodded like this was useful information. I turned to her. "Do you know how many times I've handled paperwork in my life?" I asked. "Do you know how many forms I've filled, how many bills I've paid, how many offices I've sat in without anyone holding my hand?" She smiled politely. "Of course," she said. "This isn't about questioning your contributions." Contributions. Not my life, not my rights, my contributions. I looked down at the folder. My name, my address, lines of typed text, the clean, printed version of me. "You have a file," I said softly. My son exhaled. "It's just a record, Mom," he said. "It helps them understand the situation." Understand, as if my existence was a problem to solve. I leaned forward and slid the folder slightly toward me. The woman's fingers tightened on it, not pulling it back, just holding it in place like a boundary. "May I see it?" I asked. The woman's smile didn't change. "We'll go through anything relevant," she said. Relevant? I felt my throat tighten. "It's my name," I said. "How is it not relevant for me to see what you're writing about me?" My son's voice sharpened a fraction. "Mom," he said, warning, "don't do this." Don't do this. The phrase people use when you're about to stop being convenient. I sat back and looked at him. "What do?" I asked. "Ask what's happening in a room where everyone is talking about me?" The woman spoke quickly, gentle tone like she were smoothing a wrinkle. "We're not talking about you," she said. "We're talking with you." I stared at her pen. "Then write that I did not request this meeting. Write that I came here believing it was a conversation. Write that I am asking to see my file." The pen paused again. And in that pause, I saw it. They weren't here to hear me. They were here to measure how difficult I would be. Because the hardest truth is this. In rooms like that, your emotion becomes evidence. If you stay calm, they say you're masking. If you get upset, they say you're unstable. If you argue, they call you combative. If you cry, they call you overwhelmed. There is no correct way to defend yourself in a system designed to interpret your defense as a symptom. My son cleared his throat. "She gets like this," he said, almost apologetic. I turned to him slowly. "Like what?" I asked. He didn't answer. His eyes flicked away, and that small avoidance told me everything. He had rehearsed this, the tone, the words, the patience. He had practiced being the calm adult in the room, and I was supposed to play the part of the confused mother who made it necessary. The woman set her pen down with a soft click. "Mrs. Cruz, I'm going to ask some basic questions. This is routine." Routine again. "Where are we right now?" she asked. "In your office," I said, "in a building that smells like printer ink and coffee." She smiled. "And what day is it?" I answered. "What is your full name?" I answered. "And can you tell me why you're here today?" I looked at my son, then back at her. "I'm here because my son decided to bring me," I said, "and because I didn't understand it was an assessment." My son's jaw tightened. The woman nodded, writing again. I felt my pulse hammer, not because I didn't know the answers, because I knew what the questions meant. They weren't checking my memory. They were building a narrative, one that could be used later to say she needed someone to speak for her. I swallowed and forced my voice steady. "If you're assessing capacity," I said, "say that out loud." The woman's smile softened. "We're just exploring support options," she repeated. My son cut in. "Mom, why are you making this harder?" he said. "If you just cooperate, it'll be fine." Cooperate. There it was, the real demand. Not truth, not clarity, compliance. I leaned forward. "Listen carefully," I said, voice low. "I am cooperating with reality. I am not cooperating with a script that erases me." Silence. Not loud silence, polite silence. The kind that lets people pretend nothing dramatic is happening while someone's autonomy is being quietly rearranged. Then the woman said, "Mrs. Cruz, do you drive?" "Yes." "Do you manage your own medications?" "I don't need help." "Do you pay your own bills?" "Yes." "Do you ever feel lonely?" I almost laughed. The question was a trap dressed as compassion, because loneliness is how they justify replacing you. "I feel insulted," I said instead. The woman's pen moved faster. My son rubbed his forehead like I was exhausting him. "See," he said, looking at her, "this is what I mean. She's not flexible." Flexible, like my rights were yoga. I turned my head slowly toward him. "Why did you bring me here?" I asked. He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. "Because I love you," he said. Love, the most dangerous word when it's used as a cover for control. "I believe you love me. I also believe you want my life to be easier for you." His face hardened. "That's not fair," he said. I nodded once. "Neither is this." The woman lifted her hands slightly, palms down. "We're not here to assign blame," she said. But that's exactly what they were doing. Blame was the fuel. Capacity was the match. I inhaled slowly, then asked the only question that mattered. I said, "What happens after this?" The woman hesitated, just a beat, enough for me to feel the edge of the cliff. "Well," she began, "depending on what we learn, we can recommend next steps. Sometimes families choose to formalize support." Formalize support, a pretty phrase for signing your voice away. I looked at my son. "Is that what you want?" I asked. He didn't answer immediately, which was an answer in itself. Then he said, "I want you safe." I nodded slowly. Then stop putting me in rooms where I have to prove I'm still myself. My son's eyes flashed. You're twisting everything, he said. No, I'm naming it. The woman said my name again, gentler now, like she was trying to bring me back into a smaller version of myself. Mrs. Cruz, we can pause if you're feeling overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. I felt heat rise behind my eyes. I refused it. I refused the tears. I refused to feed the file. I'm not overwhelmed, I said. I'm awake. I stood up. My chair scraped the floor, and the sound was loud in the quiet room. My son stood too, panic flashing across his face. Mom, sit down, please. Don't embarrass yourself. There it was again. The leash. Embarrassment is how they keep you from resisting in public. I looked at him, truly looked, not as my baby, not as my boy, as the man who had just called me confused to a stranger with a pen. I'm not embarrassing myself, I said. I'm embarrassing your plan. The woman's eyes widened slightly. Mrs. Cruz, we're not... Yes, I said, voice steady. You are. I reached for my bag, slung it over my shoulder, and turned toward the door. My son moved to block me, then stopped, catching himself. He knew what it would look like if he physically prevented me from leaving. He lowered his voice. If you walk out, he said, they'll think you're unstable. I smiled, small and sharp. Let them, I said, because if they think leaving a room without consent is unstable, then the room is the problem. I walked out. Behind me, I heard my son's chair scrape back again, and his voice, low, fast, aimed at the woman. I'm sorry, she doesn't understand how serious this is. I kept walking. Because I did understand. I understood perfectly. I understood that my son had already started discussing my life in rooms I wasn't allowed to stay in. And now he was panicking because I had refused to play the role. Outside, the air felt colder and cleaner, like my lungs had been released. My hands were shaking now, not from confusion, from rage held too long. I sat in my car and stared at my steering wheel, breathing slow, forcing my heartbeat to settle. Then I made calls before he could. My doctor, my bank, my lawyer. If a quiet takeover runs on paperwork, I wanted my paperwork louder. That night, I wrote everything down, every meeting, every sentence, because records don't forget. The next morning, my son called. I didn't answer right away. I let it ring until the last second because I wanted him to feel what it's like when someone else controls access. Hello, I said, calm. Mom, he began, furious. What was that? That, I replied, was me leaving a room I never agreed to enter. He hissed air through his teeth. You made yourself look terrible. I kept my voice steady. You made yourself look honest, I said. You just didn't expect anyone else to see it. Silence. Then his tone shifted, softer, controlled, the voice he used for clerks and administrators. If I come to discuss this calmly, he said, will you listen? No, I said. What? We can talk with a lawyer present, I said, or you can write to me, but you are not coming into my home to manage me. His voice rose. I'm not managing you, I'm helping. I'm not a project, and I'm not confused. He lowered his voice again, slow and deliberate, like he was placing a stamp on a form. Mom, you're proving my point. And there it was. Whatever I said would be used. So I stopped giving him material. I'm hanging up now, I said. If you contact any office claiming you represent me, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. He laughed, Shap. You've lost it. I ended the call. Then I sat at my table and waited for the fear to hit. It didn't. What hit was clarity, because I finally understood what my son was doing wasn't a moment, it was a plan. A plan that required me to be quiet, grateful, and ashamed. And I was done with all three. At my doctor's office later that week, the nurse smiled as she led me into the room, the way nurses do when they assume you're there for something small. My doctor walked in and paused when he saw my face. "What's going on?" he asked. I told him everything: the office, the folder, the pen, my son's calm voice describing my confusion. My doctor's expression darkened. Not surprised, just tired. He listened carefully, then asked me a series of questions, simple ones: orientation, memory, understanding. I answered each clearly. Then he leaned back and said, "You're fine." "I need that in writing," I said. He nodded. "I'll write it. And I need copies, not for me, for anyone who tries to decide my life without my consent." He wrote the letter, signed it, stamped it. Paper, my first shield. Next, I went to the bank. I sat across from a young employee with a neat tie and a polite smile. I asked for a safe deposit box. I asked how to lock my accounts. I asked how to ensure no one could change anything without my signature and presence. He blinked, surprised. "Is there fraud?" "I'm preventing it," I replied. He nodded slowly, as if realizing prevention was rare. I moved my most important documents into the box. I kept copies at home. I wrote down serial numbers and account details in a notebook I kept hidden, not because I was paranoid, but because I was learning how quickly a life can be rewritten when someone else has access. Then I met the lawyer. She was direct. "Your son is attempting to establish a record. He wants a paper trail that says you need him." "What can I do?" I asked. "You create your own trail," she said. "You name your own trusted contact. You document your capacity. You restrict access. And you stop meeting him alone in rooms you didn't choose." We drafted a formal notice stating that my son was not authorized to represent me. We drafted a letter to the office I had walked out of, requesting my file and demanding that any future meeting require my written consent and my counsel's presence. We also drafted a simple boundary letter to my son: no entry into my home without permission, no representation without explicit authorization, and all communication in writing or with counsel present. My lawyer slid the letters across the table, and I stared at them like they were a foreign language I had been forced to learn. Then I signed. Not my freedom away, my defense into existence. When my son received the boundary letter, he did exactly what people do when they lose quiet control. He escalated. It wasn't immediate, it was strategic. He didn't show up screaming, he showed up smiling, with help. A woman came to my door in a blazer holding a clipboard. "Mrs. Cruz?" she asked brightly. "I'm here to check in." "About what?" I asked. "About support services," she said, as if she were delivering flowers. I looked past her, and my son was standing at the end of the walkway, arms crossed, face carefully neutral. I felt my stomach drop. They were trying again, but this time they were bringing the evaluation to my doorstep. I kept my face calm. "I didn't request any services," I said. She smiled, still polite. "Sometimes families initiate support," she replied. Families. Like my son and I were a unit. Like my consent was optional. "I'm declining," I said. She blinked. "May I ask why?" Because any answer becomes a note. I gave her the simplest one. Because I said no. Her smile thinned. "We just want to ensure you're safe," she said. I am safe, and you are trespassing if you remain after I ask you to leave. My son started walking toward the door. Mom, he said, voice calm, don't make a scene. The phrase hit like a slap. Don't make a scene. In my own doorway. I looked at him and felt something in me harden into steel. You brought a stranger to my home with a clipboard, I said. You already made it a scene. The woman looked between us, uncertainty flickering. She was realizing she had walked into a conflict, not a service. I'm going to step back, she said quickly. We can reschedule. No, I said. You can close my file. She hesitated. I can't. Yes, you can, I said. And if you can't, my lawyer can. Her eyes widened slightly at the word lawyer. She nodded once abruptly. Okay, she said. I'll note that you declined. There it was again. Note. I watched her walk away. Then I looked at my son, still standing in my yard like he belonged there. What are you doing? I asked softly. He leaned forward slightly, voice low, controlled. Trying to help you, he said, because you're making choices that don't make sense. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't let the anger show, because anger would give him what he wanted. Instead, I asked the question he didn't want asked. Who told you you could? I said. He blinked. I'm your son. And I am still a person, and you do not get to replace me because it's easier to respect me. His jaw clenched. You're being stubborn, he said. No, I'm being present. He stepped closer, lowering his voice again. If you keep resisting, he said, they will take it more seriously. They, I repeated. Who is they? He exhaled, frustrated. The system, he said. I nodded slowly. Then you should be terrified, I said, because you're building a system around me that doesn't require me to exist. His eyes flashed with anger. You're twisting everything, he said. No, I replied. I'm finally seeing it straight. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. Because the version of me he had been using, the quiet one, the grateful one, the one who didn't want to bother anyone, had just died. Not my body, not my mind, the version of me that made his plan possible. He turned abruptly and walked back down the path. And for a moment I wanted to run after him, to beg, to fix it, to bring my son back. But then I remembered the folder on that table, my name typed neatly on the first page, and I understood something I didn't want to understand. My son wasn't lost. He was choosing. He was choosing the role where he got to be the responsible adult and I got to be the fragile problem. He was choosing the narrative where control looked like care. And if I wanted to survive it, I had to stop treating it like a misunderstanding, because misunderstandings can be talked through. Plans have to be stopped. That evening, I invited someone over, not to comfort me, but to witness. Marisol, my neighbor, sat at my kitchen table while I showed her the letters, the notes, the documentation. She shook her head slowly. He's trying to take your voice, she said. Yes, I replied. And he thinks you'll be too embarrassed to fight, she added. I looked down at my ID card, resting on the table like a small, stubborn truth. I'm not embarrassed anymore, I said. Marisol squeezed my hand. Good, she said, because you're going to need that. She was right. The next letter arrived a few days later, official envelope. Inside, a formal petition request for a review. It was written in language so polite it felt like an insult. It said concerns. It said support. It said best interest. It never said the real thing, authority. I didn't panic. I didn't cry. I called my lawyer. She read it, then said, We respond, and we show up. Show up. That was the entire battle, not just in court, in every room where they expected you to be absent.
On the day of the hearing, I wore my good cardigan and lipstick again. Not because I wanted to look pretty, but because I wanted to look undeniable. My lawyer walked beside me. Marisol walked beside me. My son arrived alone. He looked confident, calm, like a man who believed the room would automatically side with him. He avoided my eyes. That told me everything. He wasn't there as my son. He was there as my replacement. The hearing room was smaller than I expected. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just a table, chairs, paperwork, and a few people who had the power to decide whether I would remain the author of my life. The representative asked questions. My lawyer answered. My doctor's letter was presented. Then my son spoke. He spoke about incidents, about forgetting, about confusion. He spoke gently, like he was telling a sad story about a woman he loved. He even smiled at me once, as if to say, "See, I'm being kind." But kindness without consent is just control with a softer voice. When it was my turn, I didn't give them poetry. I gave them clarity. "I did not request this," I said. "I did not consent to being assessed in that office without being told. I handle my own life. I pay my own bills. I attend my appointments. I drive. I am capable." And the moment my son stopped asking me and started describing me, he crossed a line. My son shook his head, small, as if I were proving his point. I looked at him directly. "You said I was confused to a stranger," I said. "I was holding my ID, I was speaking, and you stepped in front of me like I was invisible." The room went quiet. The representative looked down at her notes, then back at my son. "Did you say that?" she asked him. My son hesitated, just a fraction. Then he tried to soften it. He said, "I was trying to simplify. She gets overwhelmed." Overwhelmed again. I felt my stomach twist, but I kept my voice calm. "I get overwhelmed by betrayal," I said, "not by paperwork." My lawyer leaned in. "A disagreement is not incapacity," she said. "A boundary is not confusion." The representative nodded slowly. Then she said the words that felt like oxygen. "We will not grant any authority based on this petition." My son's face tightened. The representative added, "We recommend voluntary family mediation, but there is no basis to remove decision-making." Remove decision-making. They finally said it out loud, and it sounded as ugly as it was. My son stood abruptly, chair scraping. "This is ridiculous," he said, voice breaking through the calm. "She's manipulating you." Manipulating, the classic accusation when control fails. The representative looked at him, expression flat. "Sir," she said, "your mother answered clearly. Please sit down." He didn't. He turned and walked out, not as a son leaving a room with his mother, as a man leaving a room that didn't obey him. Outside, I found him by the entrance, pacing like a caged animal. He stopped when he saw me. "You're going to regret this," he said. I nodded once. "Maybe," I replied, "but I'd rather regret standing than regret disappearing." He stared at me, stunned. Then he said the line he thought would wound me deepest. "You're going to be alone." I looked at Marisol, at my lawyer, at the people walking past, living their lives without knowing a quiet war had just been fought on a Tuesday. "I'm not alone," I said. "I'm just not owned." He got in his car and drove away. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my ID in front of me again, not because I needed to remember who I was, because I wanted to honor the fact that I had protected it. I updated my files, I locked accounts, I changed locks, I set boundaries in writing, and then I did something I didn't expect. I grieved, not for my autonomy, for my son. For the boy who once held my hand when crossing a street, for the man who had learned to speak about me as if I were a liability, for the painful truth that love doesn't always protect you. Sometimes love is the first place control learns your weaknesses. Weeks passed.
My son didn't call. Silence can be punishment. Silence can be strategy. I let it be both. I continued my routines. I went to the market. I watered plants. I kept appointments. I smiled at neighbors. I became visibly stable. Not to prove anything to the world, to refuse the narrative that said stability belonged to whoever spoke loudest in a room. Then, one afternoon, a letter arrived from my son. It wasn't handwritten this time. It was typed. That's how you know a letter isn't about emotion. It's about record. It said he was concerned. It said he wanted reassurance. It said he hoped we could move forward. It also said he would like to revisit support options in a cooperative spirit. Cooperative spirit. I folded the letter and placed it in my file. Then I wrote a response, short and clean. I am willing to meet in a public place with counsel present. I will not sign any document I did not request. I will not attend any meeting presented as a conversation that is actually an assessment. I kept my tone neutral, because neutrality is armor. When we met weeks later, it was in a cafe. My son arrived early, sitting stiffly, hands around a cup he wasn't drinking. He looked tired, not regretful, not soft, just tired. He looked at me like he was seeing a version of me he hadn't planned for. I sat down across from him and placed my phone on the table, face down. He cleared his throat. I didn't want it to go that far, he said. You took it there, I replied. He flinched. I was scared, he said. Scared of what? I asked. He hesitated. His eyes darted away, then back. Then he said it, quieter than I expected. Scared of losing you, he murmured. For a moment, something in my chest softened. Then I remembered the folder with my name typed neatly on the first page, and I understood. He wasn't scared of losing me. He was scared of being left without control. Because if you were truly scared of someone, you wouldn't start building a file against them. You would sit with them, ask them, listen. You would keep them in the room. I kept my voice gentle anyway, because cruelty was not my weapon. When you're scared, I said, then speak to me, not about me. He nodded, but his eyes were defensive. You have to admit you've changed, he said. I almost smiled. Yes, I said, I have. He frowned. That's not what I meant. I know, I replied. You meant I became inconvenient. He shook his head. Mom. No, I said softly. Let's be honest. You wanted a version of me that made your life simple. A version that signed when you told her to sign. A version that smiled and said thank you when you took over. A version that didn't ask what was happening in rooms where my name was on the paper. His jaw tightened. I leaned in just slightly. But I'm still here, I said, still holding proof of who I am. He stared down at the table, silent. Then, quietly, he said, "I didn't think it would feel like betrayal." I nodded. "That's because you told yourself it was help. Help doesn't require secrecy." The cafe noise filled the space between us. Cups clinking, someone laughing, the ordinary world continuing, unaware. Finally, he looked up. His eyes were wet, but he didn't let a tear fall. "I don't know how to fix this," he said. I held his gaze. "You start by apologizing," I said, "not for being worried, for speaking over me." He swallowed. "I'm sorry," he said, voice rough. It wasn't a grand apology, it wasn't poetic, but it was real enough to crack something open. I nodded once. "Good," I said. "Now hear me." He listened, and I told him my rules, not as a punishment, but as a map. No meetings without my consent, no documents without my review, no describing me to strangers as if I'm not in the room. If he needs reassurance, he asks me directly. If he wants to help, he offers and he accepts no. He stared at me a long moment, then nodded slowly. "I can do that," he said. I didn't smile yet, because trust is not rebuilt by words, it's rebuilt by behavior. When we stood to leave, he hesitated, as if he wanted to hug me but wasn't sure he had the right. I made the choice for both of us. I opened my arms. He stepped in, stiff at first, then tighter, like he remembered something he had almost erased. I hugged him, and in that hug I felt the ache of loving someone who had tried to reduce you to a file. Love doesn't always make people good. Sometimes it just makes them bold. But I also felt something else, a quiet certainty. I could love my son and still protect myself from him. Those things could exist at the same time. Back home that night, I placed my ID back in its pocket. I locked my door. I checked my file. Then I sat at my table and wrote one final sentence in my notebook. I was invited to be assessed. I refused to be erased. And the next time anyone tries to decide my life in a room I'm not allowed to stay in, they'll have to say it out loud. Because I'm not gone, and I'm not going quietly. But the story didn't end with an apology in a cafe. Because a person who has tasted control doesn't give it up cleanly. They don't stop wanting it, they just learn to ask for it in nicer ways. After that meeting, my son behaved for a while. He called before visiting. He asked instead of declaring. He spoke to me, not around me. And if this were a different kind of story, that would be the ending. A warm lesson, a neat resolution, a hug that fixes the fracture. But real life doesn't mend like that. Real life tests you again, in quieter ways, when you're tired, when you've softened, when you've started to believe the danger has passed. It started with a simple envelope, no dramatic stamp, no official seal, just a letter from a company I recognized, printed on clean paper with cheerful fonts. It said my preferences had been updated. It thanked me for authorizing a new contact person. It listed my son's name. I read it twice, then a third time, slowly, as if the letters might rearrange themselves into something less sharp. They didn't. My hands went cold, because there is only one way a company updates a contact person like that. Someone tells them to. Someone signs something. Someone speaks in your name. I called the number on the letter. A pleasant voice answered. "Thank you for calling," she chirped. I kept my voice calm. "I received a notice that my contact person has been changed," I said. "I did not authorize that." There was a pause while she typed. According to our records, it was authorized, she said. By whom? I asked. By you, she replied, like this was silly. I want the document, I said. She hesitated. We can mail a copy, she said. No, I replied. Email it now. Another pause. I could hear the soft tapping of keys, the corporate friction of a system deciding whether I was worth effort. Finally, she said, I can send it to the email on file. Do it, I said, and remove any access you've granted until we resolve this. She sounded uncertain. We'll need to verify. Verify me, I said, right now. She asked questions. I answered. I gave identifiers. I gave information only I would know. Then, when she was convinced, her tone shifted slightly, less bright, more cautious. I'm sending the document, she said. When it arrived, I opened it and felt my stomach drop. My name was printed at the bottom. My signature was there, and it wasn't mine. It was close enough to fool a stranger, not close enough to fool me. I stared at the looping shape of the letters, the way the pen had lifted at the wrong places, the way the final stroke was too confident. Someone had forged my signature, and there is only one person in my life who would benefit from that. I didn't call my son, not yet, because I had learned something important in this war. If you accuse too early, you give them time to rewrite the story. You give them a chance to turn your accusation into confusion. So I did what I promised myself. I documented. I printed the letter. I highlighted the line that named him as contact. I wrote down the time. I wrote down the name of the representative who spoke to me. I wrote down the exact phrase she used. According to our records, it was authorized. Then I called my lawyer. She didn't sound shocked. She sounded angry. This is how it starts, she said. Small changes, access, permissions, convenience, and then suddenly you're fighting to prove your own signature. What do we do? I asked. We stop him with paper. Paper again, the strange comfort of ink. My lawyer drafted a formal dispute. She demanded the company freeze any changes. She demanded a review of how the document had been submitted. She demanded that any future changes require my in-person verification. Then she said, "Now we talk to your son." I inhaled slowly. "I want to hear him lie," I said. My lawyer paused. "Are you sure?" she asked. "I need to know what he's capable of," I said, because there's a difference between misguided concern and deliberate replacement, and I needed to see which one I was dealing with. We invited him to her office, a neutral room, a neutral table, a neutral setting where he couldn't claim I was emotional in my own home. He arrived with that same careful calm he used at hearings and counters. He smiled at my lawyer like he was trying to recruit her. Then he looked at me. "Hi, Mom," he said. My lawyer slid the forged document across the table without ceremony. "This explain," she said. My son's smile faltered for a fraction of a second. Just a fraction. Enough. He picked up the paper, looked at it, then looked up. Confusion practiced onto his face. "I don't know what that is," he said. I didn't respond immediately. I watched his eyes. They moved exactly the way a person's eyes move when they're scanning for the correct lie. Not panicked, not guilty in a messy way, guilty in a careful way. My lawyer's voice stayed level. "This form updated your contact person to you. It includes your mother's name and a signature that is not hers." My son frowned. "Maybe they made a mistake," he said. "Those places lose things all the time." He He was trying to make it about incompetence, anyone's incompetence but his. I leaned forward slightly. They didn't lose anything, I said. They received a form with a signature. That is not mine. He sighed, the heavy sigh of a man burdened by a difficult mother. Mom, he said, this is exactly why I wanted support. You jumped to conclusions. There it was. Even in this moment, he tried to turn the accusation into evidence. My lawyer lifted a hand. Do not speak to your mother that way, she said. My son blinked, surprised. He wasn't used to being corrected by someone in authority. He recovered quickly. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, he said. I'm just saying she's... Stop, my lawyer said again, firmer. Answer the question. Did you submit this form? He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried a different angle. I was trying to protect her, he said. Protect? He didn't deny it anymore. He reframed it, the oldest trick in the book. Confess the act, deny the harm. I felt my chest tighten, but my voice stayed calm. Protect me from what? I asked. He rubbed his palms together. From complications, he said. From missing deadlines. From being taken advantage of. And who decided I needed you to manage that? I asked. He looked at my lawyer instead of me. I'm family, he said. It's normal. Normal again. I leaned back and let silence stretch, because silence makes people fill it with truth. My lawyer spoke. Forging a signature is not normal, she said. My son's face tightened. I didn't forge it, he said quickly. I might have signed for her, but only because she would have agreed if she understood. If she understood, the sentence that steals your adulthood with a smile. I looked at him, and something inside me went quiet, clear. You did it again, I said softly. He frowned. Did what? He asked. You decided what I would agree to. You decided what I would understand. You decided that my consent was optional as long as your intention was good. He leaned forward, frustration rising. Because you make everything a fight, he said. You're making it impossible to help you. I nodded once. Good, I said, because you're not helping. You're taking. My lawyer slid a second document across the table. It was a formal cease and desist notice regarding representation and unauthorized signatures. If this happens again, she said, we will pursue legal action. My son's eyes widened. You'd sue me? He asked, voice cracking through the calm. My lawyer replied before I could. Your mother won't be suing you. I will be. He looked at me then, finally, like a stranger, and maybe I was, because a mother who learns to protect herself stops being a soft place to land. She becomes a boundary. He stood abruptly. This is insane, he said. I'm your son. I know. That's why it hurts. He left the office without saying goodbye. Outside, I sat in my car and stared at my hands on the steering wheel. They were steady. That surprised me. A part of me expected to collapse, to sob, to feel shattered. But what I felt was something else. Relief. Because the fog was gone. My son wasn't confused. He wasn't misguided. He was comfortable overriding me. And comfort like that doesn't come from love alone. It comes from practice. That night, I tightened everything. Accounts, alerts, permissions.
I carried a small card behind my ID that said no one could sign or speak for me. It felt extreme. Then it felt like air. Then, one afternoon, I saw him again, not at my door, not in a courtroom, not in a cafe, in the place where control feels strongest, a municipal building. The same kind of building where people stand in lines and accept what's handed to them because the glass is thick and the rules are printed. I was there to renew a document. I stood in line holding my ID like a talisman. The fluorescent lights buzzed. Someone coughed. A child whined. A clerk behind glass moved papers like they were cards in a deck. And then I heard my son's voice. Not loud, close. I turned my head slowly and saw him standing near another window, talking to a clerk. A folder was open. I felt my stomach drop because I recognized the posture, the calm, the controlled voice. He was doing it again. Not about me, I told myself. Don't jump. But then I heard my name, not shouted, not announced, spoken softly, like a detail. My son said it to the clerk. The clerk looked up, eyes flicking toward me, and in that second I felt the familiar sensation, my life being discussed in a room I wasn't allowed to stay in. I stepped out of line. My feet moved before my fear could. I walked toward the window. My son's back stiffened when he sensed me. He turned. His face went pale. "Mom," he said, too quickly, too quiet, "what are you doing here?" I looked past him at the folder. My name was visible on a page, typed neatly. Again. My heart hammered, but my voice stayed calm. "I'm joining my conversation," I said. The clerk blinked, uncomfortable. My son stepped slightly to the side, trying to block the view. It was a small movement, a familiar movement, a movement that said, "You're not part of this." I leaned around him, not aggressively, just enough to be seen. "I'm sorry," I said to the clerk, "but I need to know why my name is on your counter." The clerk's eyes widened. She glanced at my son, then back at me. "Ma'am," she began, uncertain, "your son said he was helping with an update." "I did not ask for help," I said, clear, "and I did not authorize anyone to update anything on my behalf." My son's voice dropped low, urgent. "Mom, please," he whispered, "not here." Not here, not in public, not where witnesses exist. I looked at him. "Here is exactly where," I replied. The line behind us shifted. People noticed. Heads turned. In the periphery, I saw the clerk's fingers hover over a button, ready to call security if needed. And I understood something important. The system is trained to treat the person defending themselves as the disruption. So I stayed calm. I kept my hands visible. I kept my voice steady. I turned to the clerk again. "May I see the document?" I asked. The clerk hesitated, then slid it slightly forward, eyes on my son as if asking permission. That told me everything. Even behind glass, people still look to the confident man for instruction. I took a small step closer and read the header. It was a request form, not a confirmation, not an appointment, a request. And the request was for access, for representation, for authority. My son said quickly, "It's just so I can help you with things if you need it." I kept my eyes on the paper. "I don't need it," I said. "It's preventative," he insisted. Preventative, a polite word that means before you can say no, I will make it harder to refuse. I lifted my eyes and met the clerk's gaze through the glass. "I am here," I said. "I am the person on this form. I am declining this request. Please mark it declined, destroy it, and note that any future attempt by anyone to submit documents in my name without me present should be treated as unauthorized." The clerk's mouth opened slightly. She glanced again at my son, then back at me. "I can do that," she said, voice quiet. My son's face tightened. "Mom," he hissed, anger leaking through, "why are you doing this to me?" I turned to him slowly. "Because you keep doing it to me," I said. He looked like he was going to argue, then he noticed the people watching. He forced his face into calm again. He smiled, thin, at the clerk. "She's having a moment," he said. There it was, the oldest line. Say she's unstable, say she's emotional, say she's confused. I felt heat rise, but I held it, because this time I had a weapon he wasn't expecting: witnesses. I didn't look at him, I looked at the clerk. "Write down what he just said," I told her. "Write that he attempted to dismiss me while I was present. Write that I am speaking clearly and declining his request." The clerk's eyes widened. Her hand moved. Her pen scratched. My son's smile cracked. He stepped back, suddenly aware he was losing control of the narrative in public. He lowered his voice. "Let's talk outside," he said. "No," I replied. "Mom." "No," I repeated. "If you want to talk, we do it in the open, because you seem to do your best work when the room is closed." A murmur moved through the line behind us, not loud, just the subtle sound of people recognizing truth. My son's face flushed. Then he did what people do when their polite mask fails. He went sharp. "You're humiliating yourself," he said, louder now. The words landed like a stone, but this time they didn't pull me down, they lifted me up, because humiliation is only powerful when you're alone. I turned toward the line, not with drama, just with clarity. "I'm sorry to everyone waiting," I said, "but I need to say something once." Then I looked back at my son. "You want to call me confused?" I said, voice calm. "Do it clearly, in front of everyone. Say what you've been saying in quiet offices." He stared at me, frozen, because suddenly the script required courage, and he didn't have it. He only had power when no one was watching. The clerk cleared her throat. "Ma'am," she said to me, "I've marked it declined." I nodded. "Thank you," I said. Then I looked at my son one last time. "If you try again," I said softly, "I will treat it as what it is, not love, not worry, an attempt to control me." His mouth opened, then closed. He stepped away. I went back to the line, ID still warm in my palm, and finished what I came to do without giving him another inch. The clerks treated me like the customer I was. The building stayed fluorescent and ordinary, but inside me something had snapped into place. I was no longer asking to be included. On the drive home, my phone buzzed. A text from my son. "You didn't have to do that." I stared at it, then typed one sentence back. "Yes, I did." Then I turned my phone off. At home, I placed my ID on the table and sat down, breathing slowly. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that used to scare me, the kind of quiet that made me feel like my son was my only anchor. But now it felt like peace, because I had learned the difference between being loved and being managed. And once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. Winning here doesn't look like celebration. It looks like locks, letters, and the discipline to stay calm when someone wants you to break. I keep my ID close now, not because I forget who I am. I'm still standing, still holding proof of who I am, and if my life gets discussed in rooms I'm not allowed to stay in again, I won't beg to be included. I'll walk in. I belong there. because I do.
If this story touched your heart, you're welcome to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for being here. Until the next story.